Hi everyone. So I am here to give you a breakdown of one of my latest projects. This project took me a while to get mastered because there were so many elements that I had to draw from different sides. This is God in depth, beyond the surface. Now, this is the hardware manuscripts as you see the table of contents. And there are so many chapters that jump out to me. But today I'll be doing 3 chapters that really hits home. I also want to bring your attention to this exclusive feature because sometimes as a writer, when you're writing books, there are different thoughts that comes into your mind that necessarily do not form a pattern. So the exclusive feature is hinted all the way at the end, and it starts off with red captions, and that basically gives different thoughts and different trends of thinking that may not necessarily coincide with this particular project, but it's just for my readers and people who love extra to be able to just dig into it, even if it's just a few pages on the exclusive feature. But the book itself, let's get into it. I'll be reading first. As you see here, I have 18 chapters, which concludes up to 248 pages. This is minus the extra bonus feature. So one of the chapters that really spoke out to me as I was doing this, as authors, we have sections of our books that there is not too much editing. It's more just raw content, raw material, raw experience. So one of the chapters that really spoke out to me is chapter 1, which talks about a misplaced priority. The youth struggles with knowing how to prioritize their life and where God goes in their life. The youth nowadays have been given this false desire, given this false hierarchy of wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, and their decision making is all centered around societal pressures. So I tackle that because a great way to communicate God is to communicate God to the youth. They are the ones who are going to be picking up after us, and we have to lay a great foundation for them. So if you're a youth listening to this, the section that talks about how youth struggles, such as chapter 1, in chapter 1, youth struggling to prioritize God and how they should do it, that's the section that I would recommend. I also want to go back to another chapter which entails knowing Him for yourself, which is chapter 9, God and you. A lot of us religious folk who grew up in the church, and I'm trying to scroll to that section so I can, give you a debrief from there. Permit me as I scroll. So it will be found in chapter 9. It's going to take a while. But as I am scrolling, you see, knowing God for yourself, it's a very key component in today's over-informed world. From our pastors to our spiritual leaders to all the different archives of information on the internet, God gets lost in all of it. Because truly having a relationship with God and truly knowing who He is, it is something that it requires breaking away from the traditions of what we have learned in religion, and just allowing God to teach you for Himself, breaking away from the internal way of perception and letting God give you His own perspective. And in my journey, that has been one of the most mind-boggling parts of my walk, where it's like, okay, I've been in the church so long, but this is the part where I'm able to actually understand God in His nature, how He feels, who He is, what He's really about, what He really wants us to prioritize versus just going to church. So if you want to know God for yourself, chapter 9 is, and as I'm still scrolling for it, chapter 9 is that aspect where it is a whole chapter dedicated to something that I have picked up from, personal personal encounters and personal understanding, and also having a collective, breakdown on a simple way to just begin a relationship with God, as he would reveal himself to you, and as you would set aside every form of tradition, put down all those crosses that you are carrying from society and from what you've seen from others and how they do to your own spiritual life, to just simply knowing God for yourself. As you can see, this manuscript is packed, loaded. I have been scrolling for a while now, and I'm only at chapter 6, and I'm trying to get to chapter 9 to read an excerpt for you and expound upon it as I normally do. And this book, as I said, it is just dropping, and it took a while to invest into this book. So I definitely look forward to, having people give me feedback on how impacted your lives has been, because I literally poured a lot of hours. So it starts here, you and God. And